Aretha Franklin was one of the greatest singers of all time. Remembered as the Queen of Soul, she was one of the most successful singers of her generation, and her passing was a great loss to American culture. And yet, Aretha Franklin has a huge FBI file after 40 years surveillance. Keep watching to find out why. Aretha Franklin's early life and career. Aretha Louise Franklin was born in the blues capital of the world, Memphis, Tennessee, on March 25, 1942. Her father, C.L. Franklin, was a Baptist minister as well as a traveling preacher. Her mother was a piano player as well as an accomplished singer. Both these influences helped Aretha become a singer. She gained her singing talent and her understanding of music from her mother. From her father, she learned how to be enthusiastic and have a fantastic stage presence, emulating his persona during his sermons. She also took inspirations from his sermons when she eventually became a gospel singer. When she was 5, the family moved to Detroit, and this is where she spent her formative years. While she owed a lot to her parents, her family life wasn't the easiest. Her father was a womanizer, and his constant infidelity caused the family to break up. Aretha spent time in between her parents, who eventually lived in different cities. Her mother died of a heart attack just before Aretha turned 10. After this, she was raised by her father as well as several of her relatives, including a family friend, Mahalia Jackson, the famous gospel singer. During her youth, Aretha learned how to play piano and also perfected her singing skills. She dropped out of school in the 10th grade to pursue a career as an entertainer. She began her singing career as a gospel singer. She performed in her church, and soon enough she was performing the circuit among religious circles. By the time she was in her teens, she was making a living as a gospel singer. She was also meeting many famous singers of the time, including Marvin Gaye, Sam Cooke, and Mavis Staples. It wasn't long until she joined their ranks. Before we tell you more, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. We're excited to have Tiege Hanley as the sponsor of today's video. They've helped me start and maintain my skincare routine by making the entire process uncomplicated. Honestly, it's the best skincare system for any guy who wants healthier skin. I recommend you start with their Level 1 system, which comes with all the basics, including a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin, a 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of dead skin cells, an AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. My favorite part about Tiege Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. Their products have made my skin look and feel better than ever. But you don't just have to take my word for it. They have over 5,000 5-star reviews on their website from satisfied customers around the world. In addition to amazing skin, members of Tiege Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, pause or cancel at any time, and free U.S. shipping or low-cost shipping to most other countries. And because Tiege Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers a great deal. Just click the first link in the description and you'll get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. Don't miss out on this amazing deal. Click that link and get started today. Don't forget to check out Tiege Hanley by clicking the link in the description of the video. How Aretha became the Queen of Soul. When she turned 18, Aretha decided she wanted to pursue a career as a singer. Her father became her manager, and he helped her get a deal with Columbia Records. Despite being relatively new, she had gotten offers from both RCA Records and Motown Records to perform for their studios. But she stuck with Columbia and released her first single in 1960, Today I Sing the Blues. It became a huge hit. Her first album was released the following year called Aretha with the Ray Bryant Combo. The album included the song Won't Be Long and became a huge hit. She was now in demand, and her songs became regular hits on the radio. She began touring around the country performing. By the time the mid-60s came around, she'd released several songs and was now high in demand. She eventually left her record label as they could no longer match her desired pay. She moved to Atlantic Records, and it was with this company that she arguably recorded her most famous song. It was one originally released in 1965 and written and performed by Otis Redding. It was a slower song, but Aretha's rendition was upbeat and easily one of the most recognizable American songs of all time. Respect solidified her position as the Queen of Soul. The rest of her career was really an upward slope. Respect was such a huge hit that Aretha Franklin produced hit after hit and soon became one of the hardest working artists in showbiz. She had earned her respect, and we knew what it meant to her. She was the undisputed queen of soul, and her music continues to inspire others today. In total, she released 38 studio albums, 6 live albums, 62 compilation albums, and 131 singles. She had an amiable personality, and one couldn't imagine she'd ever be thought of as anything but a great singer. But for one American institution, she was also a troublemaker. Aretha Franklin has a huge FBI file after 40 years surveillance. The Queen of Soul was watched by the FBI for 40 years, from 1967, when she was in the early stages of her career, to 2007, when she was already an American icon. It wasn't until 2018, the day after Aretha died, that a Freedom of Information report requested to release the FBI file on her. And after 40 years of surveillance, you can imagine it was a huge file. The FBI file contained many words that sparked concern in the eyes of the government. These included phrases relating to communism, black nationalism, radical politics, racial violence, and even hatred towards America. During her youth, Aretha Franklin met Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and eventually sang at his funeral. While he's remembered today as one of the greatest Americans who ever lived, one must remember he was a controversial figure during the Civil Rights era. Since Aretha was closely associated with the Civil Rights Movement, there were worries she would be a negative influence on the youth of America. There were also worries she'd stoke racial tensions in the country and encourage black militant movements. So did Aretha know that the FBI had an eye on her for most of her life? Her son K-Calf isn't sure himself and stated he didn't know if his mother knew that she was under constant surveillance by the FBI. The FBI did try to connect Aretha to radical movements but had no luck. According to her son, she had nothing to hide. Aretha Franklin's life and legacy. Aretha Franklin was listed as the 9th greatest artist of all time by Rolling Stone. In fact, she was listed twice. She's still one of the best-selling artists of all time. Her songs have been in the top 40 and top 10 on various music charts. Even if you haven't heard her name, you've heard her songs. The amount of films that have used Respect as a theme song are too numerous to mention, but perhaps the best use of this classic song in a film was when it was used as the end credits song in the film Back to School, starring Rodney Dangerfield. She was often featured in documentaries to discuss American music and her career. She played Mrs. Murphy in The Blues Brothers and its sequel Blues Brothers 2000. In the first film, she performed her song Think, which is one of the highlights of the classic film. It's been 4 years since we lost the Queen of Soul, and one can't help but feel a sense of emptiness since her passing. But we can only be glad that she left behind such a great body of work. Now it's time to hear from you. Are you surprised to find out the FBI was watching Aretha for 40 years? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts Verse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.